So I've been living in Montreal for 5 years as of this summer, and I thought it was time that I make a short list of some of my favorite things for people to check out, a little travel guide for anyone visiting Montreal. It's actually a heat wave today. It's going up to 31 degrees Celsius plus the humidity. So I got to thank my friends at GoTrax who sent me this e-bike, which I'm going to be using to get around today and zip between the 10 different locations. We're going to be learning more about the bike along the way, but I got to mention that cycling is definitely my favorite way to get around the city, especially in the summertime. It's really a dream city for cycling. Cycling and walking are the top ways to get around Montreal. The metro or the bus, I would say, is number 2. And then driving is like not only number 3, driving's like number 20. Driving is like, I would put below unicycling and hot air balloon. But enough talking about it. Let's hit the road and check out spot number 1. By the way, when I talk about Montreal being a good bike city, this is what I mean. Look at this beautiful infrastructure. Bike lane clearly marked with blue lines. Busy street of traffic separated by parking. If you want to feel safe biking through a big city, this is how you do it. Okay, stop number 1. Marche Jean Talon, also known as Jean Talon Market. Great place to buy fresh produce, straight from the farmers. Great place to buy plants. It's got some really cool coffee shops like this spot. But mostly it's just a cool way to explore an open air market here in Quebec and try some local favorites. Look at all the shops they have. You can see this place with the corn just came straight off the truck. So YouTube, I just made a new friend here at the market. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, moi c'est Jules. I'm Jules. We're here at Jean Talon Market. If anybody wants good corn, you can just visit us here. Open every day with some fresh corn. Vive le Québec.
Vive le Québec.
Montréal.
Merci Jules.
Got it.
Bonne journée, mon ami.
Appreciate you. See you.
Great vibes today at the market. Lots of cool people. I'm tempted to grab a coffee or some food, but I think I'll save that for stop number 2. The next spot we're going to is about a 10-minute bike ride to the south. Any guesses where we're going? Welcome to stop number 2, Mile End. Now, Mile End is a neighborhood that's been changing a lot recently. Traditionally, it was an area with a lot of artists and musicians, and there's still some of that here. But a lot of people working tech jobs have moved in, and it's becoming more and more popular with visitors who are attracted by, the beautiful architecture that you see all around me. But while a lot has been changing, there are still some things that remain the same. This is Walensky's, first opened in 1932. During the Great Depression, they offer bologna sandwiches and homemade sodas. So it's a very cool family-run place that remembers a simpler time here in the Mile End. Can I grab a special with cheese?
Swiss or cheddar?
Swiss, please.
One with anything to drink with that?
Yeah, do you still have those great cherry Cokes?
Yeah, it's cherry Coke still. Or?
Let's do one of those. No joke, I just passed 2 different tour guides with groups of tourists on this block. Not exactly a hidden secret here in the Mile End neighborhood, but I love that Walensky spot. That meal came up to about $8.50. Homemade cola, sandwich, pickle. Can't beat that. I got a lot more to show you today, but before I leave Mile End, I want to take you to one of my favorite coffee shops in the city. You know what's funny? I actually have no idea what coffee I just ordered in there. I was gonna get an Americano, but then the woman ordering in front of me ordered this iced mixed drink that looks so delicious. I was just like, can I have one of those? So if anyone's been to Olympico and knows what drink that is, leave a comment. And then for anyone wondering, you can check the comment section. I'm sure someone out there knows. But yeah, Olympico is just like such a classic Italian coffee shop. Old soccer jerseys hanging on the walls. They had an Olympic ping pong match between China and North Korea on TV. What more could you want from a coffee shop? Anyway, there is way more to show you in Mile End, but I'm fully caffeinated and ready for stop number 3. So let's go. This here, PAS, that's the pedal assist. So if I go like this, I just went to pedal assist mode 3. If I go 2 more, doop, doop, pedal assist 5. When you're in pedal assist 5, you're just cruising. Whenever you pedal, there's like so much of the battery assist behind you. But in case you want to use it more as a normal bike or you run out of battery, you also have 8 gears on the bike itself. Another beautiful bike lane here in Montreal, taking us south from Mile End. This thing's got a max speed of 32 kilometers per hour, so as long as there's no one in front of me, I am going to be flying. Now the next 2 places I want to tell you about are individual streets, so these ones are going to be a little bit quicker. The first one is called St. Laurent, and it is a good party street, especially for younger people. And then I'll show you a street after that, which I think is kind of like the bigger brother or bigger sister of St. Laurent. It's a place where I think more people in their 30s hang out, whereas St. Laurent is more of the 20s and student crowd. And intersecting the two is a street that really I could have included on this list as well, because it's really worth checking out. But I don't want to put too many streets in a close proximity on this list. But this is l'Avenue Montreal, also known as Mont Royal Avenue, and is a fully pedestrianized walking street that cuts through the heart of Plateau Montreal, which is the neighborhood that we're in right now. It's pedestrianized from, I think, June until September, maybe late May until September. And you got lots of funky spots like Paul's Boutique, an old book and record shop. Very good shopping street, and very good street to just get a feeling for what this city is like. So I just stopped here in a little place called Parc de Portugal, just off the corner of St. Laurent and Marianne. Across the street from here is a cool bar and restaurant called Le Darling. One of the reasons St. Laurent is a famous street in the city, it was sometimes called Main Street or Le Main, and there was famously a deli called Main Deli, basically, Main Street Deli. It sadly closed a couple of years ago. Traditionally, St. Laurent was a very important street in Montreal because mostly it was the divider between English and French. Most of the English-speaking populations lived to the west of it in neighborhoods like Westmount, and then to the east of St. Laurent was predominantly French-speaking. And even though that's changed a bit and French is definitely the predominant language in Montreal, that still holds a bit true. But today it's a very nice street to walk down. Lots of shopping options. And lots of cool street art too, by the way. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I continue my bike ride. That right there was the childhood home of Leonard Cohen, one of the most famous musicians to ever come out of Montreal. Lived right here in the heart of the plateau. There's a lot of history in this city, everywhere you look. So next up I'm going to show you St. Denis Avenue. First, I just took a little detour to show you this to my left is Parc La Fontaine. Another big park, great place for chilling. There's a lake you can walk around. Actually, let me just cruise over and give you a little taste of La Fontaine Park. My favorite way to travel is to have a list of places to check out, but then not to be afraid of seeing whichever way you want to go. A lot of these suggestions have been for the warmer months, but if you find yourself visiting in fall or winter, I would highly recommend a visit to a park like this, because when the leaves are changing, it looks really nice. And then if you're not from a cold climate, if you want to see what a real Canadian park looks like, this is a great place to visit on a snowy day as well. There might be a few less ducks by the lake in the middle of winter. But other than that, it's a nice place to visit any time of year. So as I was saying, St. Denis, I kind of think of as the adult version of St. Laurent. Whatever kind of nightlife you're into, I think you can find something here. Behind me, this place, Café Gitana, is actually a cigar lounge. I can smell some of it on the street. Since I'm here, maybe I'll see if they'll let me film a bit inside the cafe with the cigars. Something else I really appreciate about Montreal is that even though it's a city, I mean, the greater area has over 4 million people. We're now a short walk from downtown, and just feel how calm everything is. how we have trees lining the streets, how we have space for people to walk in. The Quebecois really prioritize the feeling of their city more than a lot of other places in North America. Meltdown, esports. So I'd been to the e-gaming spot next door, but I've actually never been to that board game cafe. Yeah, they have 3 levels of games. I mean, I've never seen so many board games in my life. But even if you're just walking through, don't forget to look at some of the buildings around here, because there really are some pretty ones. Now, walking distance from St Denis is Place des Festivals. More broadly, this area is called Place des Arts. That's the metro name. Place of Arts, I guess you could translate it. Place des Arts is a very common area for festivals and events, both paid and free. Amazingly, there's a ton of free festivals here in the summertime. Not second-rate festivals either. I mean, like huge international festivals, like the International Jazz Fest, the formerly known as Just for Laughs, which was a huge comedy festival that the name has changed, but there's still some comedy festival here. There's also Nuit d'Afrique, which means African Nights. There's a soul music festival. Basically, any week of the year in the summertime, there seems to be something happening. You can see a big stage to my right that they're either taking down or building. In fact, my number one tip to anyone, if you're in Montreal for a day and you don't know where to go, just come here. Chances are something is happening. And it's also got some strange, evil-looking red building, just for bonus points. I think this is the Pride Festival, which is coming up in Montreal as well. Another huge festival. How we doing down here? We started at 80% battery. We still have 60. That's good. We started at 88 kilometers, so we put almost 20 kilometers today. Once again, shout out to Go Tracks for this bike, because if I didn't have the pedal assist, I would be dying on a hot day like this. But so far, I'm feeling good. 5 more spots to go. We can do it. Spot number 6, Chinatown. Now, I recently heard from someone from New York City actually say that they wish their city had a cool Chinatown like Montreal. Not trying to start any wars here between New Yorkers and Montrealers, but I will say that when I visited Chinatown in New York City, it just felt like more of a neighborhood where people were living. Whereas Montreal's Chinatown obviously has, you know, Chinese populations living here, but as well, it has a lot of cool options for tourists. Beautiful archways like the one behind the ever-present traffic cones in Montreal. And some really good Asian bakeries too. My favorite is called Patisserie Coco. Try one of the pork buns and one of the egg tarts. You're gonna like it. Now, Chinatown's pretty small. You could definitely see all of it within an hour or maybe 2 hours if you stop for a meal. But the reason I include it is because it's very strategically located. It's close to downtown, and it's also close to the next attraction, which every tourist should check out, Old Montreal. So there's a lot of classic buildings to see in Old Montreal, but there's also the Old Port, where you can walk down by the St. Lawrence River. Beautiful views. So I just biked down to Old Montreal, and what is there that I can say about Old Montreal that hasn't been said before? If you're watching this video, you've probably heard about the cobblestone streets, the old churches like Notre Dame, but what you might have not heard from is some locals. I've got some friends who live in this neighborhood. We're gonna hear their thoughts. Any thoughts on life in Old Montreal? It just leaves you speechless. I know the feeling. So this is some lovely friends of mine, Hart, the beautiful MC, and their lovely child, Gabrielle?
Yes.
Right? Gabriel. People think of this as a tourist neighborhood that people visit, but as you know, there's a thriving community of locals living here.
It's a mix of like a quiet neighborhood, right? Because there's no like super high buildings and it's not too dense. So it's quiet neighborhood, but it's also very like active because all the trendy restaurants are here, and then you have like museums, and you have a lot of festivals, and you're by the water, there's activities, and so there's like a lot going on. And it's nice to have that feeling that you're in a quiet neighborhood as a family, but then you get out of the house and it's like so many things to do, right? There's always something going on. What?
You're good on camera. And I remember when I first came to Montreal, I'd never been to Europe. But when I saw this area, I immediately felt at home. It was honest, I didn't know much about my roots when I was young. I've discovered I have an Irish background, English background, but I never really thought of myself as European when I was young. But I always feel very at peace with all this cobblestone and the old architecture.
Bring something back.
Yeah.
Bring something back in that history, huh?
Hits a nerve, and I always feel transported when I'm here.
So back in the days, it was mostly artists living in lofts that haven't been renovated, and it really evolved into like becoming a neighborhood that's attracted lots of young people now, business people, foreigners, locals. So there's really like a good mix. I mean, people are now allowed to renovate the inside of their apartments, which really like attracted a lot of people who wanted.
So it wasn't always that way?
No, and so now you can have the beautiful exterior and architecture, but you can have the comfort of modern day life too. You can have your heated floors and like your AC and all those like nice to haves. So I think that attracted like a lot of new people to the neighborhood.
And if I'm not mistaken, with your profession, you would know something about that. I don't know if you want to say a word about that in the video. We can shout out what you guys are doing if you like.
Well, I guess I know a lot about it because my specialty in interior decorating is really mixing the old and the new. So appreciating the old, antiques, the history of certain objects and how beautiful and unique they are, but also combining it with the comfort of, you know, our modern lives. And
where can someone learn about your work if they want to see something you've done?
I'm on Instagram, MC House of Joy.
MC House of Joy.
Yeah.
And Hart, you're also doing some artistic work. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, I'm an artist and a videographer. I have Dream Window Productions.
Yeah.
Do social media videos, brand stories.
All that while full-time father as well.
Come on, Google. Yeah, Dream Window Productions.
Because you're an artist, you bring a new layer to videography.
Yeah.
So he does also like collage art, right?
Okay, where can they see your collage work, your artwork?
That's the Art of Heart.
The Art of Heart.
Yeah.
That's good branding.
That's good branding.
Amazing, amazing. Gabo, any final thoughts?
Gabo, come on.
Yeah, I think he likes Old Montreal. That's fair to say. Yeah, that was nice. They're good people. Always good to meet some friends here in Old Montreal. I have a few more stops to make today. We got a long bike ride to the next stop. So I'm going to refuel with this ice cream, and then we're going to hit the road. Listen, I've shown you a lot of beautiful bike paths today. I think biking deserves at least one spot on this list. And today the spot is going to biking by the Lachine Canal. The Lachine Canal is actually enormous, but the stretch I'm showing you is accessible just 5 or 10 minute bike ride from Old Montreal. It's a beautiful way to explore the southwest of the city. And as you're about to see, the vibe is completely different than everything I've shown you today. I almost feel like I'm in Vancouver or one of those West Coast cities. If you look to your right, you can get views of downtown, sneaking through those newly built condos. Oh my God, YouTube, look at this, freshly paved road, no potholes. This is like finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in Montreal. So this is where the nice roads are hiding, here in the southwest. Who would have known? And now, tucked away in the southwest of the city, we make it to another part of Montreal altogether. Welcome to Verdun. This is Rue Wellington, and Rue Wellington has becoming more and more hip the last few years. But it exploded in popularity a few years ago when Time Out magazine named it the coolest street in the world. Now, with all respect to the fine people of Verdun, and I do have a couple of friends who live here, I like this neighborhood, but I've shown you a lot of cool streets today. So I would say that Rue Wellington reminds me of Avenue Mont Royal, the walking street that I took you down briefly through Plateau. But what makes Verdun a bit different is Verdun is a bit isolated. You got to cross the canals and stuff to get to it. It kind of feels like its own community. You know, it's kind of like the Brooklyn to New York City. You could perhaps call it Montreal's Brooklyn. There's a few nice restaurants around here. There's a Jack Lecoq, Québécois style chicken place, kind of a KFC, if you will. Look at those mischievous eyes. He's up to something. One of my favorites, if you're into vegetarian food, is falafel yani. But I think that chicken spot is calling me. Just like Mama used to make it. No, I'm just kidding. My mom didn't make chicken fingers. But if she did, I imagine that's what it would taste like. So I was talking about how this part of the city is not too different than some of the other major walking streets in Montreal. But I will admit, Verdun has one thing that those other neighborhoods definitely do not have. And that is a beach. See, this is us. This is the street we've been walking down. And here, Verdun Beach. Verdun Beach. Yeah, if you're looking for a beach in the heart of Montreal, you found it. And you know what? If I was being lazy, I would count that as number 10 on my list. I would end my video, I would put my bike away, and I'd go for a swim. But my friends, there's one thing you must do when you visit Montreal that I haven't done with you yet. And it's actually a bit of a bike ride from here. I also believe the sun is setting, so I'm gonna talk less and pedal more and zip my way over to the mountain. So epic. Well, my friends, I've driven 44 kilometers today. It's now pretty much pitch black. Good thing I have a headlight. Okay, so it's the next morning. I guess I made one too many stops for coffee or ice cream yesterday. Yeah, I lost the daylight. It was pitch black when I made it back to this area. But I promise you a mountain, and a mountain I will give you. Let's go. There's a few different ways to get to the top. There's hiking trails. There's this wide, winding path which can be biked up or walked up. And there's also a road. This is actually my first time ever biking up to the top. Now it is possible to drive up to the top, but when you do that, you miss out on this beautiful nature, which has been here in the center of the city all day. A lot of people are surprised when they visit here just how you really feel like you're in a national park or something. I don't feel like I'm in the city at all. Look at this. Now, one of the things you should know about this park is there's a cross on top, and there's a very old law in Montreal which says that no building can be taller than the top of that cross. So if you're looking out at downtown, and we're gonna have a very good view of the downtown once we get to the summit, you'll notice that you're almost looking straight across at the tips of downtown, and that's because of that height restriction. In case you're trying to replicate this ride on your own, where we're going to is the Chalet de Mont Royal. There's a little building where you can buy snacks and stuff up there, but the park itself is enormous. So I'm currently using pedal assist mode 4, and I'm still getting a good leg workout. I can still feel it. And of course, if it ever gets really challenging, I always have that cheat code, which allows me to ride without pedaling. I'm trying not to overuse that, but when things get tough, it's really nice to have that option. It's also nice to see so many other people running and biking up the mountain in the morning. I'm not usually a morning person, so this is like a new world for me. This bike has inspired me to get out there. Okay, we're getting closer to the top. That's the chalet I was talking about. And that, downtown Montreal. See how flat the tips of the buildings are, like I was talking about? So Jean Talon Market and the stuff that we started the tour at is way behind us on the other side of the mountain. And then Plateau, where I showed you some of those nice streets like St Denis and St Laurent, that's all to the left. As we move towards Place des Festivals, it's kind of over there near that tall building that we see there. Old Montreal, barely visible now because of all these new buildings. It's down by the river, the other side of downtown. And then Verdun Beach is way out there. You can't even really see it, but it's way down there by the water. Just goes to show that there are treasures hidden around every corner of this city. I'm filming a little time lapse right now on my second camera because the clouds are moving right now. I think it's going to be nice and dramatic. I'll leave you with that shot to end today's video. But once again, I just want to thank you for watching, for making it to the end. And I also want to thank GoTrax for hooking me up with the CTI 3 e-bike. It literally would not have been possible without this bike. I put about 60 kilometers on this tour. So I'll put a link down in the description where you can learn more about this bike or learn more about GoTrax. Big shout out to the team for helping me out with that. Hope this video can help anyone visiting Montreal. As always, I'm Dan from The New Travel. Catch you next time. And now the fun part. Down the hill. Just a beautiful park, isn't it?